Chapter 4, Part 2. Into a World of Glens. Tulloch, near Dublin, is the great burial place of the legendary legions of Partholon who died of the plague. Kingston is so modern as to be vulgar. Bray and Dalkey are pretty little coast towns. Going into Wicklow, you enter a world of glens, like Glen of the Downs, the Devil's Glen, and mountain lakes like Tay and Low Dan. Glendalough, or the Glen of Two Lakes, as the Gaelic name means, is a deep, solitary glen in a wild region, the upper lake of which has something terribly sinister about it. Here are the ruins of 7 churches, which have stood for upward of 1200 years, and a round tower. It is the site of the hermitage of Saint Kevin. The Vale of Avoca and the meeting of the waters are the prettiest spots in Leinster. I should hesitate to call them beautiful. The scenery of Leinster has a feminine, soft quality to my northern eye. The road from Dublin to Killarney passes through Maryborough and Cashel, in which later city Silken Thomas, the Earl of Kildare, burned the great cathedral in 1495 because he thought the Archbishop was inside. Where Spenser wrote The Fairy Queen. Near Buttevant is Kilcolman Castle, which Spenser wrote the first 3 books of The Fairy Queen. How Norman once that country was is shown by the name of the town, which was the battle cry of the Barrymores, Butes en avant, push forward. Spenser's beautiful city of Cork is almost encircled by the Lee. The name Cork means a marsh, and the city was founded by Saint Finbarr in the 7th century, and was later the centre of the Danish domination of Munster. It is a city of bridges and pleasant conversation, and disaffection to our Lord the King. It will be remembered that Perkin Warbeck got his greatest welcome in Cork. St. Finbarr's Cathedral is the most un-English of cylindrical buildings, its front resembling Bayeux or Reims. It is a monument of the good feeling which has always existed between Ireland and France. The bells of St. Anne's inspired Father Prout's immortal Doggerel. Cork has always been beloved of foreigners. Thackeray went into ecstasies over it. Another author, William Black, wrote a novel called Shannon Bells, and Mr. Henry Ford erected a factory for his products here. Near Cork is Queenstown, whose name a polite corporation changed from Cove in honour of Queen Victoria's Landing. Queenstown is now known officially as Cobb. The Blarney Hoax. Near Cork, too, is Blarney, notorious for 2 things: the Gillaroo trout, the red fellow, and a practical joke known as the Blarney Stone, the kissing of which entails the same embarrassment as one suffers through the vulgar devices in amusement parks, in which trapdoors open and you come a perler, and sudden gusts of wind dismay the wearers of skirts. In Youghal is buried the Countess of Desmond, who, when she died in 1604, was 140 years of age. The place of her commitment is notably haunted. Morion Castle on the Kerry Road is the birthplace of Admiral Sir William Penn, the father of the founder of Pennsylvania. Gougane Barra is a place of the most dark and beautiful aspect. Steep mountains and a lake like black marble, and trembling silver rivers shining into the dark water. The kingdom of Kerry is wild and beautiful. Here are the remains such as they are of the Druids. Here are the earliest Christian remains. It is a county of semi-tropical mosses, with some plants that are found nowhere else than in Portugal. It is the home of Irish classical learning, more Latin and Greek having been known in than in the rest of Ireland combined. Its people are grave and courteous and have pleasant voices. The wild swan is more abundant here than elsewhere in Ireland, and here are the last of the wild red deer. The English poet William Wordsworth, writing about Killarney, says, "In point of scenery, this is the finest portion of the British Isles, which is treason to his own lake district. The name Killarney means Church of the Slow Bushes. The lakes are three: Upper or McCarthy Moors Lake, the Middle or Tor Lake, the lower is called in the Gaelic Low Lurn. In the gap of Dunlow, the brawling Low River expands into little lakes of water remarkable for their blackness. The golden MacGillicuddy's reeks and the purple mountains stand around this district sentinels. Many of the rocks in Low Lane are called after the chieftain of the district, the O'Donoghue of the Glens. O'Donoghue's house was blown down during a storm, but his table, prison, pigeon house, and library still survive. Nearby are the ruins of Muckross Abbey, one of the finest Norman abbeys in Ireland, with a yew tree in its cloisters 60 feet in height. Near Killarney, on the Kenmare Road, is Ross Castle, in the vicinity of which Tennyson wrote part of The Princess. Close by the castle is Innisfallen Island on Loch Lean, the gem of Killarney, says Macaulay. Not a reflex of heaven, but a bit of heaven itself. Its main charms are its holly groves and red-berried rowan trees. The sky in fair weather is blue as Mary's cloak. The majestic Shannon is being throttled. In the province of Connacht, there is the river Shannon, the broad-bosomed, majestic Shannon, which is being dammed and trained now by the Seamen's Shukut Company to provide electricity for all Ireland. What a peasant in his cottage wants electric power for, I cannot say, and indeed I have not heard anyone ask for it. What industries it is going to serve are unknown. But engineers of the country that produced Einstein, and politicians so mentally able as to be in power, their combined wisdom is of a profundity. I suppose the explanation is that there is money in it. There is money, too, in harnessing a great steeplechaser to a garbage cart when his racing days are over. There would be money, too, for the Greeks if they made their hallowed Parthenon into an open-air cinema. But in Athens I am assured I should be torn limb from limb were I to suggest it. Limerick is the city of the Danes and Patrick Sarsfield, and the landing place of supplies from Hamburg for the furtherance of the Shannon scheme. In Clare are lakes like jewels, small lakes abounding in trout and perch and sad bream and the voracious pike. The names of the small hamlets have a great beauty: Labashida, the bed of silk; Clonee, the solitary meadow; Inchicronan, the island of the lullaby; Tinarana, the house of songs. Among Connemara's peaks, Connemara rises in the distance, the threatening spears of its mountains. Spears are purple and black, like the pickled and terrible troops of some dreaded army, but as you come nearer you find in the Joyces' country an unsurpassable beauty of heather, hospitality unbounded, great courtesy, comeliness of men and women. The bare stretches where the Connacht grouse grows fat and impudent on blaeberries and rowan berries, and the little lakes where the red-billed moorhen bobs courteously through the water as you come near, have a kindliness in them that goes to your heart. Galway, city of the Blakes and Lynches, is the drowsiest, most magical, most Irish of towns. The peat smoke from the houses assails your nostrils with necromancy, and the old ache comes in your soul, and looking westward on the ocean, the ache is satisfied, for before you lie the 3 islands of Arran in the conger-hunted, herring-wealthy sea. And that concludes chapter 4.